If you enjoy what we do on these podcasts, please go to mwpnews.com. There you can see articles about some of the movies we've seen, some things that we don't talk about on podcasts, and links to ways you can support the show. Thank you. For real this time, good morning and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I started recording this morning without looking to make sure that the thing was in. A little memory card for this. Which, I would say it's a top 5 important thing. I mean, not really, because I could always transfer it, but I do... I very much crunch, get the episodes out on my lunch break, because I have a half hour. So basically what I do is I one take the recording, which is what I'm doing now, and you're listening to that. And then on my lunch break, will very quickly transfer to my computer and then upload it. Cut in the pre-roll and the pre-roll clip running the website, and then the theme, and then go from there to and immediately upload it and get it set up there. The issue with that is, and then I have to spend the rest of my lunch break doing other things. Be it working on succession planning part 2, or something for my class, or working on something for the website. We're gonna have an article going up probably later today, if not tomorrow, about Harley Quinn in Folie à Deux, because I feel like there's something to talk about there. We had an article up yesterday where I complained about Batgirl being canceled, and so either way, let's talk about what we're here to talk about today, The Penguin. Episode 4 is this now? Episode 4, that sounds right. The way they did this release totally fucked me up, because they made the decision to move it from a Max original to a to HBO, but they did that after they announced the first premiere date, and then didn't shift the premiere date to Sunday. So and then they didn't air episode 2 that week. So the whole thing is fucked up. But regardless, point is, I think we're on episode 4 now. I could be wrong. If I am, the episode title will reflect that. But I think we're on episode 4. That sounds right. If not 4, then we're on 5. No, I think we're on 4, because I don't think we've hit the halfway mark yet until today. But I think this was an interesting look at what it is that makes, that kind of set everything in motion for this show. And I think that's kind of an important thing, because setting the record straight on what it is that made Sophia the way she is, and I definitely did not get to Google what her character's name is, the Hangman, as they accused her of, and turns out she wasn't really, but that whole thing, I think, is necessary. And I think a lot of what this show is kind of necessary for how this iteration of Gotham is. What this iteration of Gotham is, this version of Gotham City, is it is something where the rich, the powerful, and the corruptible have so much power over everything that happens in the city. They own so much, and we see Carmine Falcone in this episode, kind of exert that power very well to get rid of his daughter, because he thinks his daughter is going to sniff around and find out that no, Carmine actually killed all these people, including, as we find out, Selena Kyle's mother. So it's an interesting situation to put these characters in. I love when you put these characters in an interesting situation, but we are seeing that, she's another person, much like what we saw in the movie with the Riddler, who her entire existence was shattered by the power of the rich, the powerful, and the corruptible. Where she inadvertently, like, she was not intending to sniff around like this, but like she inadvertently sniffs around the truth, and she gets sent to Arkham. And not just sent to Arkham in a way where she's completely discredited. Sent to Arkham as a serial killer, the hangman killer who would kill her victims and then, hang them. And the thing is, too, it's like one of the things that when you watch this show, you're like, oh, that's weird. It's like, I would watch this and be like, oh, but why, like, clearly this is something where, Mark Strong, who is now playing Carmine Falcone, is, much bigger, and I think it'd be obvious if it was a man who strangled someone compared to a woman, just based on, like, hand size alone. But regardless, especially considering, like, Kristen Milotti is, like, I don't think she's that tall or, like, that, like, large, where it is what it is. But she, she goes in and she's put into Arkham with no visitors. She's put into Arkham completely isolated and completely mistreated by everyone, the staff and everyone like that. And I think the interesting thing is, we aren't ever explicitly shown the scene where Carmine puts the treatment that she's going through in Arkham, puts anyone up to that. We aren't shown that sequence. There's no point where it's like, it's explicit, like, this is Carmine. We are left to believe it's Carmine who's doing it, because Sophia believes it's Carmine. But there's equally a chance that, like, Arkham Asylum is just kind of filled with fucked up people doing fucked up experiments on the inmates. And, like, if that's the case, then it puts her in a weird position, because she can't, she doesn't know for certain. And I think it's probably a safe assumption that, like, yes, Carmine put them all up to this, but, like, at the same time, it's like, I feel like that's a level of micromanaging that, like, a mob boss would have not enough time to deal with. It's like, okay, so here's what you're gonna do. You're going to go in and you're going to, you're gonna have her, assaulted in there. You're gonna have her, like, you're gonna have this person off the chains, and they're gonna go and attack her. But like that's the thing where it's like, I feel like that is not outside Carmine's purview or outside of what's expected of him, but it feels more like this is something that is outside what I think a mob boss would do. I think, like, throwing her in Arkham, throwing away the key, and being like, okay, well, she's insane, and she's a serial killer, and I've paid off the guy who runs the place to say that she is criminally insane and unfit to stand trial. I feel like that's enough. I feel like a lot of the other things that happen in there, like, are not him. It's just the doctors doing fucked up things to the patients. Because I don't think that Carmine has room in his schedule to be like, and how can I fuck with Sophia today? Like, on top of all the crime world organizing he does. And I think, too, what's interesting is that that's not the entire episode, is that. Like, it's about half, or maybe 3/4 of the episode. Because it kind of opens up with, like, a rehash of what happened last week with Oswald talking about how he, I'm just using her, it's all about you the whole time, this, that, the other thing, and it's setting her on this course where it's like, oh, he doesn't give a shit about me, he's just using me to put himself on top. And I think it shows that he doesn't view her as a threat in a weird way. So you get to the point where it's like, oh, well, you don't see me as a threat? Alright, fuck you. Which is why you get to the end of the episode, and she just fucking kills everyone. She kills the remaining Falcones. I mean, not all of them. There's like 2 still alive, and now she's here to negotiate. But she has now put herself on top of this organized crime family. And now she can bring the full weight of that onto, Oswald. And I'm not going to keep harping on the where's Batman question, because I feel like a lot of the things that happen in this show, I feel like Batman would get involved with. I like that Magpie's in the episode, and I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's really implied that she was captured by Batman. I think it's just kind of like she's Magpie, she's in prison, and that's who she is. I like the way that actress did a great job, I think, playing that kind of crazy person, and I think she did a great job. I don't know who the actress is, she did a great job there. But regardless, I think that that whole thing is good. And I think the thing that I really want to address here is, right now, in theaters, there is a movie called Joker that is meant to be a more grounded, realistic take looking at the Joker. And in this case, Joker and Harley Quinn. And it's like, what would this look like in reality if it was the 80s in New York City? And definitely not Gotham, because we only say Gotham like twice in the entire movie. If that's, that movie is ashamed to be a comic book movie. That's a movie where it's like, we don't want anything to do with that. We'll have this reference to Harvey Dent here, but we're not, like, we're getting away. It feels like the original movie is a spin-off, and then because the original movie did well, it's like, okay, so now we're in episode, now we're moved out of the pilot of the spin-off. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, start doing our own thing. And the issue is, like, man, the cops are out in force today. There's like 4 cops on the LA. Like, the issue that I have with this is, like, and at the same time we have this show called The Penguin, which similarly is a show doing a grounded, realistic, gritty take on a Batman villain. This time it's the Penguin instead of the Joker. And the Penguin is so unapologetically just a comic book thing. Like, it's not trying to make you think this is deeper than it is, or this could exist independent of the comics existing. Like, very much so. This is like, look, we have a long legacy that we are just the latest thing on. Like, there's a reference to Burgess Meredith in the first episode. Like, they don't shy away from the fact that, like, look, we are not the first person to do this, and let's be honest, we will probably not be the last. Like, we will probably not be the last ones to tell the story of, Oswald Cobblepot. Like, you had that show on Fox, Gotham. You had, what was the other one? Burgess Meredith in 66. Danny DeVito in, Danny DeVito in Batman Returns. Like, it's no shortage of iterations of the character have been done in animation. I mean, even Minnie Driver played an iteration of the Penguin fantastically in Caped Crusader. It is one of those things where it's like, this is a character that has, and it's a IP that has very long coattails. And I'm not saying you're riding on the coattails, because very clearly the team behind the Penguin is doing fantastic work with this story. At the same time, it's like, you can't ignore the fact that you are kind of using IP. And you wouldn't be where you are without the IP. Like, that's the thing, is that it's like, look, and I don't want to keep harping on Folie à Deux, but the issue with it is, like, that movie doesn't make $1 billion in 2018 without the name Joker, without it being a DC movie. If it's, and I've said this so many times, if that movie was just called Clown, and it's the same movie but with the DC references stripped out, then it does maybe $150 million at the box office. and maybe it's an indie darling, and maybe, just maybe, you can get it funded for $30 million. Maybe. But more than likely what that movie is it's one that you end up seeing in the Shudder original movies at Walmart, in that, like, second bay of movies in the DVD aisle. That's more than likely where that movie ends up. Because you don't pull Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro for that. But when you have that, and then you go into this second movie, and then go like, well, obviously what they were here for is me, that's where you start to lose people. And it's this idea that, like, I'm bigger than the IP, which has been a recurring issue with DC over the last decade. I'm bigger than the IP. I don't get the sense that Matt Reeves, or if not Matt Reeves directly doing the Penguin, whoever is doing the Penguin, I don't get the sense that he thinks he's bigger than the Batman IP. I think Todd Phillips thought he was bigger than the Batman IP, and that's why Joker failed. I think Zack Snyder thought he was bigger than the Justice League IP, which is why you ended up in this weird place with those movies, and they were not well received, despite what the Snyder fans may have attempted to make you believe. And that's kind of where we'll end off for today. I think that's why this show works so well, is that it's like, this is a show that had an entire episode set in Arkham Asylum unapologetically. There's no, what's the name of this place? They don't mention it. If not for the, like, I thought back after seeing Joker, and I'm like, I think that if it were not for the Hotel Arkham sign in the one musical number on a soundstage where it's just him and Lady Gaga, I think that if it's not for that scene, they don't mention Arkham Asylum once in that movie. And it is probably the most used setting in the movie. Like, by screen time, I would assume Arkham Asylum is the most... Yeah, there's no way it's not. Arkham Asylum and the grounds of Arkham Asylum have to have the most screen time for any setting than the courthouse. But we'll wrap up there for today. This week, we will be doing the franchise. We will be doing Dragon Ball Daima, because I did not know I had Crunchyroll, and I do, so we'll be doing that starting probably tomorrow morning. Because I don't know if you guys knew this about me, but I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so we'll be doing that. No, I did not do Super when it came out, but we will be doing this. This picks up right after, from what I've read, right after the Boo saga. Which, I love that. So, yeah, we'll be doing that then. And I think it does kind of temper my expectations a little bit. But we'll talk about that when we talk about the episode that came out. But until then, have a great rest of your week.